Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Happy whatever day it is. Man, I have so much to share with you guys before we get into teaching and everything that I want to tell you about with balancing business and motherhood. And this is just such a relevant topic. And it's probably one of the most common questions that I get asked, because whether you're a working mom or you're running a business and taking care of kids, it's hard. It's really hard. So I want to dig into actual practical things that have been really helpful for me in balancing running a business, multiple businesses, and continuing to add children, which we are totally done having children. We're all done. 3 is our max. But yeah, I just want to share with you today what's been really helpful for me. But before I get, there's been a few things that are currently happening that I want to share with you. So one of the things is I have been working with PR and really focusing on building my speaking career, focusing on getting more media, because when it comes to continued success of your business, visibility matters. And so I've talked about this before, but if you are not utilizing as many outlets as possible for people to see your work and your message and what you do and what you bring to the world, you're missing out on your potential and your impact. And this is one of the reasons why it's so important to have support and so important to delegate and so important to not get caught up in the day-to-day of your business, because when you do that, you actually shoot yourself in the foot because you're not able to actually be in the places that are most important for longevity and continued success of business. So PR is one of the things that has been going on, as well as I started 2 new companies. So I haven't spoken really publicly about these companies. So if you're listening, you're hearing this first. The first company is Tired Mom Fitness Club. And I'm extremely excited about this because, number one, my husband runs Tired Dad Fitness Club, which is so fun. And it's so cool to be a parent who prioritizes your health and your fitness and learning, especially going from where I was being a competitor to learning how to move and honor your vessel, because it makes you happier and it makes your life better. So Tired Mom Fitness Club, I'm incredibly excited about, because that is, our little baby. And then also I'm excited because if you haven't been around for that long, you may or may not know that I started in fitness. So I am a serial entrepreneur. I've had multiple businesses, and this is why I work with women across all industries, is because I've dipped my toes in a lot of things, tried a lot of things, failed a lot, learned a lot, and I get to bring that to the table wherever I show up. So I started in fitness. I love fitness. If you've followed here, you know that consistently working out is part of my routine for my mental sanity. And I believe that is one of the biggest things when it comes to balancing motherhood and business, is taking care of the body that is required to drive the business, truly. So when you're down and out, you're not helping anybody. And I've talked about this at length. This is why my mentorship is so important, because when you can learn to prioritize yourself, you set your business and yourself up for success long-term. So Tired Mom Fitness Club is one business. The second business is Comprehensive Efficient Business Solutions. And this is a consulting firm in which we are going into companies and organizations and associations, and we are elevating the overall health of the company by taking the entire team through our signature process to where we are addressing the human behind the title And we are able to, with this process, elevate the happiness. We are able to help the business build for longevity, for sustainability. And a lot of people, when they think about health of the business, they think about, KPIs and the financial piece. But at the end of the day, if you're running a business, the humans that are helping you run that business are the most important assets. And so we address each human. And by doing this, we provide recommendations on how each human can improve, which then improves the business. But then we also offer company-wide recommendations. So I'm very, very excited about these two new businesses. And once again, you're hearing it first. So these are my little secrets that I'm sharing with you. So it's been a lot of fun behind the scenes, and it's so cool to, when I've been in this business for so long, to almost be in these different directions and start from the bottom up and apply everything that I've learned in these last 11 years. So I wanted to share that and open up that with you today, because it's so fun. And honestly, I'm so grateful to be able to be a creator. How amazing is it that we live in a time where you can have an idea and bring that to life? And that idea can fuel your passion and your purpose. That idea can lead you to impact people all over the world. I just never lose sight of that. I think it's so beautiful. I love entrepreneurship. I love being a business owner. I think it's such a privilege. It's such a privilege to be able to do all these different types of work that I do. So let's talk about, now that I've let the cat out of the bag, now that I'm running these 3 businesses, I want to talk about balancing and what has helped me in the last 11, almost 12 years of being an entrepreneur. So I started as an entrepreneur in 2011. Cameron, who is my oldest, was born in 2016. Since Cameron was born, Cameron is 6, Brooklyn is 4, and Emerson is 1. And since Cameron was born, I have had a baby home while running my business. So that's 6 years that I've done this. And with each child, I've been able to continue to scale, become more profitable, even pivot. And so at the very least, I want you to be encouraged that you can, that it really comes down to you making the choice of how can I balance both? What does balance for me specifically look like? What support do I need to feel balanced? And figuring out that every day is going to look a little bit different, and understanding that you have to be able to be fluid, understanding that you have to be able to be a mom kind of on call. And the most important thing for you to understand is that if you want the capacity, the energy to be able to do both, what is required is prioritizing yourself. And it's interesting because as mothers, as business owners, the first thing that can go to the back burner is us, because there are so many responsibilities, right? It's easy to wake up and maybe work for a little bit before your kids get up. It's easy to, think that, okay, well, I will just have full-time childcare, and that's wonderful. If you can afford that, and that's the route that you choose, absolutely amazing. And so it's easy to know that you basically have created a structure that is a replica of a 9-to-5, even though you are the CEO. And so the first thing that you really want to do when it comes to balancing running a business and motherhood is you write the rule book. you write the manual. And sometimes that can be harder because it's easier for us to just follow somebody else's path, follow the rules that were laid before us. You write the rule book though. So the first thing you have to do if you want to balance this is figure out, what do I want it to look like? So for me, I want to be able to have times where I'm fully with my kids and have times where I'm fully in my business. So that means I need some support with my children. Currently, as I'm recording this, Eric is at the park with Emerson and my other two are in school. So you have to figure out, what does that look like for you? What does balance look like? And for me, I have a morning work block and then I have an afternoon work block 3 days a week. And on the other days, depending on what's going on, depending on how heavy my workload is, Mondays and Fridays, generally I have one work block, if that. I try to take one day where I don't work, but sometimes I do, and that's okay. So understanding that every week is not going to look the same. Even if you lay out this beautiful schedule, it's not always going to be like that. Kids get sick, stuff happens. So really learning how to regulate your own emotions, learning how to be more fluid. That was the hardest part for me because I'm such a rigid scheduled person, and kids, yes, we are very routine and scheduled in our house, but they're still kids and they don't understand that fully. So figuring out, what does your balance look like? What do you want? For me, it's really important to be able to pick my kids up from school. It's really important that every single day I sit down with my two littlest girls and we have lunch together, and for me to get that break and clear my head and take some time outside and then come back in. So basically your first step here in trying to balance all the things is figuring out, what do you think that looks like for you? And what you establish here from this is probably not going to be what you end up with, honestly. But you have to give yourself the opportunity to try something and then adjust from there. So a lot of times because what we know is a 9 to 5, we're like, okay, well, I just need childcare from 9 to 5 then. And then those are my work hours. That's great. But is it what you want? And so that's what I'm asking you today, is to establish, what does balance look like? Does balance look like working 3 or 4 days a week? Does balance look like working 20, 30 hours? Does balance look like, what does it look like to you? What would it feel like to you? What does it structurally look like? And then what do you want it to feel like? I want to have the option. I want to have enough flexibility in my schedule to where I can move things around if something comes up with my kids. If it's jam-packed full of appointments, I can't do that because I can't shift stuff. And if I can't shift stuff, then I'm going to be resentful. So considering things like putting white space in your calendar, considering only scheduling a certain amount of appointments per day. So the first step is going to be, what do you want it to look like? And then the next step is going to be working on your standards and your boundaries. What will you and won't you accept? What will you and won't you accept? My max amount of appointments in one day is 4. I will not take more than that. My max amount of working hours in a single day is 6. I will not work more than that. Because if I did, it would require me to sacrifice something else. Either take away from my family, myself, which I am unwilling to do. And so this is where the fear really sets in, is that it's not that balancing all of it is hard. Yes, it is hard. But really what it is that we as women are so afraid of setting those boundaries because we're people pleasers and we're perfectionists and we want to offer great services. We're so afraid of what the response will be to that, what other people will think, how it will be received, that we just don't. Oh, that client can only see me at 6:30 at night. I don't take clients then. That was one of the changes that I made, and it was really scary. It was really scary to shrink my availability from just being an open calendar to being a free-for-all to No, you're going to set your appointment. It's going to either be a recurring appointment to having these standards for myself. But what that does when you set boundaries and standards and you put that in place is it protects your time and your energy so that you, when you are giving like you want to give, you can actually give at the capacity and the quality that you want to give. Because I want to tell you something really honestly. If you are constantly putting appointments, the business, your children, your responsibilities before yourself, eventually you will not be able to give. And I can guarantee that you are not giving right now at your highest potential, meaning that the people on the other side, the people on the receiving side, either of your business or your love, are not getting the best version of you. They are not getting what you are actually able to give because you can't give that because you are not taking care of yourself first. Balancing business and motherhood requires a commitment to taking care of yourself first. Most people won't tell you that, but I will. Because I know that almost every single woman that I've ever worked with, when they start their business, it's so easy because it's supported and it's normalized to trade the 9 to 5 for a 24/7. It is normalized, the stress, the overwhelm, the anxiety, the panic attacks, the physical manifestation of stress from running a business is normalized. But the truth is that if we don't like the way that something is, if we don't like feeling a certain way, it is our responsibility to change it. And if you want to run your business differently and have continued success, you need to consider the sustainability of what you're doing right now. Can you, the way that you are operating your business right now as a CEO, the number of hours that you're working and how you feel in your mind and in your body, can you do that for 5 more years? Can you do that for 10 more years? Usually the answer is no. But this is why I'm here to tell you that there is a better way. There is a different way. What is required for this better way is you setting these boundaries and these standards that are going to be uncomfortable. You saying no to more things. You getting clear on what is and isn't aligned with your bigger vision and letting go of what's not serving you anymore. The first part of the process that I go through when I work with private clients is clearing out the clutter. Oftentimes when we're thinking about the profitability of our business and we're thinking about raising and scaling and everything is about growth and more revenue and being able to serve more people, make a bigger impact, right? And so with that, we have our eyes set on that bigger and that more. What we forget is that where are we putting that? You can't continue to stack on sand. You can't continue to put onto an already full plate because whether you recognize it or not, when you're putting more on your plate, something else is falling off. And a lot of times that's the quality of service. And so if you are sacrificing your quality of service to gain more income or what you think is impacting more people, take on, more contracts, whatever it is, you're not going to retain those clients. And client retention is one of the greatest ways for you to be in business longer and continue to succeed. You have to provide a good service. You have to provide a good product. And that means that you have to be able to provide that quality from a place of fullness. Balancing motherhood and business is not about being so stretched thin all the time that you are just living in your day-to-day, surviving through each appointment, going from one thing to the next thing. Balancing motherhood and business needs to be defined by you. So what is your balance? What do you think that will look like for you? What is your ideal scenario? And it's so interesting to me because when I have these conversations with clients and I'm like, what would you love your morning to look like? What would you love it? And instantly what happens is they're like, well, I can't do that because I have to do this and I have to do that. And I'm like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. If I can have alone time, have time to work out, have time to do all the things that I do, it is because I've said, I'm going to do this. How can I actually build that with the responsibilities that I have? But once again, this is where fear comes in for a lot of people, because we think that if we set that standard, if we set that boundary, if we say, I will no longer accept this, I will no longer work this late, I will no longer take appointments after this time, I will no longer do this type of service anymore because it's not profitable. We think that if we do that, we are going to be losing business, when in all actuality, what that does is open you up. What I have seen in my commitment to myself first is that I provide a better quality service. I am able to emotionally get deeper with my clients, which creates long-term results, because I have the space to genuinely care about people. If you're just brushing people off, if you're just checking boxes in your business, you're not giving good quality service, and your service and or your products are suffering. So balancing, let's go back through here. Balancing is number one, you figuring out, okay, what do I think this looks like for me? Establish an idea, a starting point. What I think balance looks like for me is having some alone time in the morning for myself, then working about X amount of hours, taking a max of X amount of appointments, and then eating dinner with my family every night. Some sort of starting point, some sort of vision of where are we working towards? And then from there, you ask yourself the question of, what sort of support do I need to make that dream, that goal happen? What sort of boundaries do I need to set in order to make that happen? And this is usually where it stops. We say, I wish I could have this. I wish I could have a morning routine. I wish I could work out every day. I wish that, and then we tell ourselves, oh, I will. When my kids are older, when I have more time, once the business gets to this point, and then it doesn't happen. Here you are years later doing the same things because your brain has that as a habit, as a pattern. You are wired that way. So you're going to ask yourself, what support do I need to make that happen? Who do I need to ask for help? What else do I need to delegate? And then you're going to ask yourself, what boundaries do I need to set to protect that time and energy that I want for myself? And then you're going to set those boundaries. And it's not a pretty, I could walk you guys through my schedule and how I set that up. And yes, that is at the core. But I could tell you how to set up your schedule and put certain work blocks in and make sure that you schedule, like I said, some white space between appointments. But you're not going to hold yourself to it if you don't understand the importance of it. And what I want you to take from today is not just these tactical steps of here's where you start, but also understanding the importance of, if you want a thriving business that's going to last a long time, you have to be committed to your health, your well-being, your emotions, and taking care of you first so that you can pour from that place of fullness, so that you can pour from a higher capacity rather than just checking a box. Because the people on the other side, whether it's your family or your clients, they're going to feel it if you're just checking a box. And I know that that's not the service or the product that you want to provide. So I hope this is helpful for you. All of you moms out there, I'm with you. This isn't an easy overnight thing. I still am figuring it out. I think I do a pretty good job, but some days I don't. And also accepting that is normal, is that there's going to be days that are beautifully planned that turn into a complete shit show, and that's okay. Most times people are generally understanding of what's going on. And at the end of the day, you're the boss. So if you keep trying to schedule something at a certain time, if you keep over-scheduling yourself, if you keep over-committing yourself, you're the one that gets to make those choices and stop doing that. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening. Let me know if this resonates for you, if this gives you a good starting point, if you're looking for a place to land as you continue to scale and succeed and you want to do it differently and you really want to be supported in a way to where it can just feel easier for once, where you can grow without so much hustle, without so much stress, without so much overwhelm, let's talk about private mentorship. You can get on my wait list for that. I generally open one spot a month until they are full. When they are full, they are full. And it is a year-long program. So if you're not getting in and filling out my application, that means you might have to wait for up to a year. So get in there, fill that out, and I will talk to you guys soon.